Hello YouTube, and welcome back to another video. In the last video we went over the camera, where we learned how to manipulate the camera, we learned how to move the camera around, we learned about sensor on, position, all that fun stuff, even zooming, resetting it back to normal. Gotta remember we can't manipulate the scale property. We even learned about moving along a path, and what is really fascinating to me, having multiple cameras in the scene at the same time, such that you can manipulate the different cameras and scenes, and it is and it will show that, or you can manipulate one item in the scene and the two different cameras will show that as well independently. So very fascinating. You can do a lot of cool stuff with that. In this video, we're going to go over logging. Now, logging is super important. As a backend engineer myself, I use logging literally every day, and it is crucial for debugging or sending any sort of messages that you may need, maybe to show your output if you need to debug something, or just want to have a little bit of information just for your own knowledge. So for Motion Canvas, one method of debugging your code or animation flow is using logging messages. For this, Motion Canvas has its own built-in way to log messages. To get a reference to the logger in Motion Canvas, you can use the useLogger function. So useLogger is part of core, and make 2D scene, we have logger equals useLogger. And now we have debug, info, warn, and error. These messages are then displayed in the UI under the console tab in the left. Payloads, so instead of just a string, we can have a whole object. So we can have the message, which I think is what this comes back into. And then we have some remarks. So we have the original message, and then we have some additional remarks. I don't know why we'd want to put a remark in there, or what a remark would be for, but maybe it might give you some additional information. Then we have an object, some sort of property value, maybe. It could be like the position of the camera or whatever. Duration. I don't really know what duration is, but we'll find out. And then, of course, stack, which tells you exactly where in the code your error lives. This creates a collapsed log message in the UI, which can be expanded to view all of the details provided. So we have some more advanced logging. You can see up here. This is the duration in milliseconds, so we'll play around with that and see what that does. Some remarks about this log, some property, problem occurred here. This right here is the stack trace. Right here. Tip, if you quickly want to debug something, you can use debug. That way you don't have to use useLogger manually and create a payload. And doesn't link to debug. So let's actually see what it says about debug. Utils, debug, public debug. Debug might be a built-in function. This method is a shortcut for calling useLogger debug, which allows you to more easily log non-string values as well. This is for utils, so it is from core. So you would have to still put debug up here if you wanted to. We also have profiling. Besides logging messages, it is also possible to profile certain sections of the code with the logger. So yeah, we'll see what that does. So it doesn't really give us any real examples to run, but we have this scene right here. So let's debug a little bit. Let's just copy all of this first and see what happens. And of course, that's going to error out. We can go all the way to the top here, paste our logger. Of course, it's not using a logger yet, and we need it from core. And there's all of our log messages. Just because I can when no, just tab really doesn't work for this much as I want to. Let me change it to 2 spaces. 2 spaces. There we go. And if I go over here, really don't see anything yet. Oh, we got console. So we can clear everything. And then we have just here to debug. Seek time. I'm not really doing anything with seek time, so let's get rid of all the error messages, all of the warns, all the info, and now we just have our debug messages. So if you just want info, I guess that's how you could have that, or info and warn. Cool. Clear that out again. If we wanted to do a payload, let's see what that does. We have our debug. Oh, some more advanced logging. And yeah. Don't really understand what this duration is and why it's there. Let's see if we can find more information about that. Debug logger. We have log payload. Log payload is this one. We have a duration. Duration ms, an optional duration in milliseconds, can be used to display any duration related to the log. The value is always visible next to the message. That really doesn't explain it. Like, I guess this is supposed to be a variable and say this object for 1 second or 2 seconds. It's really just a variable. It doesn't say wait 200 milliseconds, does it? Is that what it is? I don't know. If I add a few more zeros to that, what happens? Versus what if I put 2 seconds? Doesn't really do anything. Okay. It could just be run this at a certain point, but I don't know. And then we have profiling. So let's do profile ID. Profile ID. Why is profile? Type console. What? The property profile does not exist on type console logger. Property profile does not exist on type console. I don't know what that means. Let's see if I can go profile, if this helps. Not really. Yeah, that doesn't really help too much. Looks cool though. Yeah. Looks cool. I guess the documentation really isn't all that helpful all of the time. But yeah. Okay. With that, that is me going through logging, and you can use it in many different ways. You could put a logger in between all of the different yields if you wanted to. You could do logger.info and then do that. And actually, I want to go debug. We'll get rid of this. Oh, no. Debug. Yep. Close that out. Delete this. And I just want to do a debug. See if this really does anything. Undefined. Okay. And if I did that, that does nothing. And if I did this, okay, that does nothing. So yeah, I'm sure if you're not using all, it might be a little bit better. Let's comment this out, and I can just do camera 1 reset. And I can do a yield star, debug. I really want to get this working. I guess can't seem to figure it out. Anyway, you can do logs in many different places to be extremely helpful to debugging different things, or you just want to have general information of, hey, this line executed successfully. We might use it in future examples that I have, such as making an API call, like an actual web API call, which I have planned for a future video. So if you want to see more about that, hit subscribe, hit like, and if you're enjoying this series, then the next one will be about media. Until then, thank you and have a wonderful day.